Climate Wisdom from COP30 Belém.
Welcome to our Climate Wisdom studio, live from COP30 in Belém, Brazil. We'll bring together experts from science, politics, and spirituality to explore the unfolding climate catastrophe. Myself, I'm Golo Pilz, and I will be tonight's moderator on conscious choices for a world in transition. At this COP, there are daily good and bad news. The good one first. Yesterday, the International Energy Agency published its latest report, and it seems renewable energies are now unstoppable and growing faster than any other major energy source. Renewable prices are more than competitive, and the rise in low-carbon electricity is expected to seal the transition away from fossil fuels. This is the good news. The not so good news is that in a recent interview, Professor Rockström of the Potsdam Climate Research Institute, one of the leading climate scientists, said that we have to capture at least 10 billion tons of CO2 every year from the air to limit global heating to 1.7 degrees. This will cost about $1 trillion per year and might even create other problems. This shows how late we are already in our efforts to keep CO2 levels low. I'm glad to have two experts with me and hope we can shed some light on today's topic, Wisdom for a World in Crossroads. We have with us Shabnam Bassi. You are the Deputy CEO and Secretary of the Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment. It's quite a tongue break.
Yes.
Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment, in short GRIHA, from India. And you worked also for the United Nations Development Program and for the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, the Government of India. And you're actually specializing and promoting energy efficiency in buildings. Welcome, Shana.
Thank you. Om Shanti.
We have also with us Sonja Olsen, and you are since 1995 the director and coordinator of the Brahma Kumaris in Denmark. In 2009, you co-founded the Brahma Kumaris Environment Initiative in order to raise the awareness at the Brahma Kumaris international community and also bring a holistic approach to the UN climate conferences. And since then, you have attended each and every climate conference. Welcome, Sonja.
Thank you.
All right. This brings us straight away to our first question. Shabnam, please share a bit about your work at the GRIHA and what brings you to this climate conference.
All right. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me for today's conversation. And I'm very hopeful that these kind of conversations will lead to, implementation on ground. And that is where, we have to work the maximum. Just a brief about my organization, where I come from. So as you mentioned that GRIHA is an acronym for Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment. And it was designed more as a philosophy in the year 2007. And that was a time in India when a lot of glass buildings were coming around, and you could see that how glass did not make sense in the Indian context, because we are in a tropical site, and to have more glass buildings will mean that we are having more and more heat into the buildings. So in order to put more sense into the kind of constructions that were happening, GRIHA was conceptualized, and Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and TERI, they came together and they brought together this concept that they should have developed some rating in the Indian context, which is akin to the kind of constructions we do, the kind of materials we have, and the kind of policies that we have in our country. So keeping that in mind, in 2007, we were conceptualized, and UN has recognized as the India's own rating system, and the emissions that are reported from the Indian context. So GRIHA has been recognized as a tool to measure emissions from the building sector. That's the most important point. So if I have to talk about GRIHA as a tool, it is more to do with the environmental how do you evaluate the environmental performance of the projects, which takes care of energy, water, waste, even your lifestyle, and how the construction management sites are operated, in terms of the kind of pollution that they're
Like a
creating.
model village, basically.
Right. So we take care of the entire project, right from design to operations, and even after the buildings are handed over. So we take care of the buildings, in the entire life cycle. The emissions are calculated, and that is how the holistically the green ratings are created. So this is about us, and definitely, when we look at ratings, we are also having a very important component of training, capacity building, because in India, you all know that, we have capacities to be built at the municipal levels, at the student level, and of course the various stakeholders who are into the business of green building. So we have developed quite comprehensive programs, and they're in fact customized and tailor-made to look at training of stakeholders at various stages. So this is about us, and I'll be happy to answer you further to.
And you mean at COP you're interacting, have programs?
So definitely, when we came at COP, this has been a place, which is globally recognized, where, we see that how the global experience comes in. So this platform we have used not only to showcase the kind of work that we do, and there are best case studies from the Indian context, but of course also to learn from, what the global partners are doing across the world. And it is also a platform for us to forge new partnerships, and that becomes quite relevant, when we.
So I would like to invite you to Mount Abu, because I live in a green building since 30 years.
Right.
It's made out of mud bricks,
Yes.
has the passive solar architecture, and I have all the features that we were talking about.
Definitely.
And I've got experience with that building. Wonderful. I think your work is very important in the Indian context, because India is hit by climate change very, very hard.
Yes.
That's the high temperature this summer. Yeah. This brings me to Sonia. Sonia, please share a bit about the work of the Brahma Kumaris Environment Initiative here at the COP. I know you're doing quite of programs and projects and so on. And what are you doing here, and what's your personal motivation which keeps you going for such a long time? After all, we don't have often a COP veteran here for interviews.
Thank you, Golo, for the question. And yes, I think it's a duty to participate in the climate change conferences. I was thinking of what to say. I could say many nice personal motivations, many values, but deep in my heart, I think it's my duty. It's a very, very stressful atmosphere. It's high pressure and high anxiety, and a lot of money, a lot of lives is at stake. And in these very chaotic situations, I feel it's the duty of the peaceful yogis to be present. So that's where I'm going, I think. And if we step out, what example are we setting to our colleagues, collaborators, partners? We say, no, it's too stressful for us now. This is not, I feel, the right thing to do. And what we do there, we have a nice slogan: we connect, we share, and we are peaceful. Yeah. So yes, we forge new relationship, we collaborate, especially with the faith communities. And when we work together with the faith communities, we often set the tone in a subtle way. So many times we have examples that the faith community get together, start talking about mindset change internally, and a few years later the politicians picks it up. UNESCO had a big pavilion many years ago saying it's not the climate that has to change, it's your mind. And we started a few years. Now India has sustainable living as a main slogan, and this has been our slogan for a few years. So you can influence people on a vibrational level. So I think that's our main work. So the overall theme in our presence is consciousness and climate change. And then we also showed our practical applications, of course, renewable energy, yogic farming, the waste management, etc. So we have this inside-out approach. But there is also an outside-in approach. You start with renewable energies and that slowly change your attitude to life. So at COP, we arrange exhibitions, side events, press conferences, and we have this lovely studio setting now for 3 years going, and a lot of networking is happening. Yeah.
Try to reach out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in Baku we had a presentation at the Interfaith gathering. It was all about greening buildings of faith, temples, mosques, churches, and then I think the number was staggering, 40 million buildings worldwide. And if they would go green with renewables, it would set a huge example.
Okay.
So interfaith movement is a big movement. And yesterday we had a bishop here and we talked about how to unify the movement and bring them all together in one table, which is a tricky story.
And 80-90% of the world belongs to one faith or another, right? So if they come together and green their buildings, for example.
So let's have some good thoughts in that direction. Shabnam, you live in Delhi, and Delhi is quite well known, often in the news, for its serious smog. And unfortunately, and I'm often also in Delhi and experience myself, but Delhi is also being hit hard by climate change. I remember I was last year in Delhi in May, end of May, and some temperature record was broken, 50. And there was some debate if the thermometer is correct or not, but I think it was 51, 59 degrees.
Yes.
And I was out in the open and it was tough.
Yeah.
It's a different heat from here.
Right.
And life almost came to a stop. And I went into a shopping mall and the shopping mall couldn't manage. No, they couldn't manage it. And I asked the manager on ground floor, it was 26, 27. First floor, it was 30. Third floor, it was 35. The manager what's going on. He says, we're running full throttle. If we go more, our system will break. Right. Yeah. So that was, so it was at the brink actually. So there's a lot of discussion going on in India on green cities, how to develop cities, how to make them fit for the future. For example, I heard painting roofs with a white special reflective, tree plantations, building adaptation, and so on and so on. Can you share a bit the ideas and concept developed in India right now to make human habitats more fit for the future?
So, Golo, I think you rightly pointed out that Delhi being the capital of India, so the major challenges that we face are, of course, extreme heat conditions that we see every year. And Delhi has always been known for the rich culture, the beauty, the architecture, that it brings. And of course, religion is a very big part of staying in Delhi. But it's been known for all the wrong reasons recently. And of course, recently that you may all have heard that the air qualities have jumped over 500 and it's becoming like smoke chimneys, in the last 1 month. So the two reasons quite evident for this kind of a situation in Delhi is one, of course, is the geographical condition, because we are a landlocked city, and there is the ventilation, or you can say that the free flow of air is quite limited. And the second, which is of course the most important, are the anthropogenic activities, the kind of activities that are going on in Delhi, be it your mobility or the construction or the kind of usage of infrastructure that we have. So these are manifolds, and I think the problems need to be tackled at that level, where we have to see how we design the cities for future. So if I have to talk from the Griha perspective, so we have the frameworks that we have for rating of projects under Griha. We have embedded quite deeply the concepts of self-sufficiency into the projects, which means that when the projects start to look at even at the design stage, so we have brought in quite important principles into the way the buildings need to be designed. The first most important aspect or element of any building should be the design itself. That is the most important area where you save the maximum energy. So at Griha, there's a lot of emphasis that we give on, building in the passive features into the projects. So traditionally, you have heard that the buildings have been naturally ventilated. So Griha is not promoting something that's new. So this has been followed traditionally. It's just that we have lost this traditional knowledge over the years, and we have to bring that back. So to have those courtyards, to have those jalis, or to have those natural ventilation into the buildings were missing. So Griha gives a lot of weightage in its rating to the way we design the buildings, and we all often train the architects. You should be incorporating these features into the building, and should.
Is it being trained at the universities?
So Golo, as I said, that this is not something that they are not aware of. In all the 5 years of the architectural training that they do, they get, this is a subject for them. But the challenge or the irony is that when the same students, they start working for architectural firms, or when they start reporting to the big clients, they want all glass buildings. That is where it goes out of the box.
Make the box out.
Yes, yes. So that is where the traditional knowledge goes out of the window. But a lot of it now we are putting this sense back to the developers and, of course, the architecture community, that you have to promote the ideas of passive features. The second that you rightly mentioned is on the idea of cool roofs. So when you say that the city temperatures were 52 degrees or 51 degrees, it's not that the city had that temperature. It is that our cities have started becoming more hotter because of the urban heat island effect that's more commonly that we know of. And then what happens is that because there are a lot of hard paved areas, so what happens is that most of the heat gets trapped into the concrete jungles that we have created in the cities, and that is why the city temperatures go higher, 3 to 4 degrees than the surroundings. So that's what I was coming to. So Griha, the next step that we also have to look at the nature-based solutions, for example, tree plantations, or the urban forests, or the green cover that we should have for the walkways and pathways. It not only adds to the beauty of the city, but also it absorbs a lot of pollutants from the air. And last is on the mobility, because mobility is becoming one of the most important element of creating pollution in the big cities. So to have transit-oriented cities, or to have cities designed in such a way that the buildings are mixed use, it will help to push the cause of sustainability, reduce emissions, because it will increase mobility and encourage people to use less of vehicles and use more of walking. Right.
I understand it's a huge topic,
subject, yes.
And we can talk for hours
yes.
on the energy efficient buildings, and there are a lot of tricks.
Yes.
Double walls, painting the seams, the roofs.
Another one, of course.
I was in Ahmedabad at the workshop, and many of these ideas also were aired, and I'm sure that this is a good idea to pursue that, especially in countries which have this maximum heat problem like Indonesia. I read today was a report that the university in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, they made a report and they said very soon Saudi Arabia will become unlivable. Oh, because they cross certain temperature limits, and they say air conditioning won't work and you cannot go outside any longer. That's also quite a stark warning. All right, that brings us to our next question. Sonia, our title today is Wisdom for a World at Crossroads, and this somehow acknowledges the urgency of the crisis we are already in, and seeing the challenges which are going on and the slow political progress on the other side. How do you maintain a sense of positivity, of positive action and hope also? What advice do you have for activists which have a burnout?
Is actually a very relevant question. Today, as 3 of my very close colleagues in other NGOs, they are home from the COP, they stayed home. So they are not feeling well, and they are feeling stress from the COP, and the heat, the intense pressure. So 3 colleagues, very close, just kind of close to burnout yesterday on the phone. Exhaustion, yeah. But first, the question of hope. I think everyone has to ask themselves, what gives me hope to continue? And I want to tell my favorite story, because 2015, we met Professor Johan Rockström in Paris, and we had set up a meeting with our sister Jenti, Golo, and myself. And he's very enthusiastic. So I wonder, how can he stay so enthusiastic and hopeful, even though everything is looking quite gloomy? And I asked him, and he said, because I believe in scalable technology. I thought, okay, so let me ask our senior sister Jenti, what gives you hope? And she said that the soul is immortal. And I thought, wow, that's 2 very, very different questions. Scalable technology and immortal soul. And I asked you, Golo, you might not remember, but you said that what gives me hope is that we can shape the world around us with the power of our thoughts. And then when I asked myself, what gives me hope is just kindness. People are kind to each other. If I lose hope and someone smiles at me and a little kind, give me a cup of tea or something, then hope comes back very easily. Of course. So at COP, we have millions of opportunities to be kind to people. Right. And yesterday, at your program, actually, it was so hot in the beginning, and the lady behind me, she used
the hand
fan for me also, and I thought this is a small act of kindness.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah, but coming to the question of burnout, there are many theories about burnout. There are many steps to reduce stress in daily life. So I can only answer for myself. And what I do every morning is I say to God or to the divine, I'm available. And that helps me to keep flexible for these immense number of changes in the program every day. And I have a surprising outcome. And then I say, let me do what's in front of me and let me do it with love. And finally, I collect small moments of happiness. There are many small victories during the day, and if I forget them, I easily get negative. So to collect small moments of happiness all the time is important.
Wonderful, for so many points to stay hopeful and positive despite all the stress which is at COP. That brings me to our last question. I got recently a very nice calendar from you. That little nice calendar I received from you. And it quotes from the Upanishad, and it says controlled greed, which is very interesting. And it also talks about ancient Indian wisdom of sustainable practices. I think ahimsa is one of them, for example. And how can ancient wisdom inspire us and help us in our current situation?
So very interesting, and thank you for pointing that out, because that is something that we have always tried to connect our work to, how our ancestors have looked at it, and how our Upanishads have looked at it, and we have found very stark connections with the way we are working now, and the way we should look at the buildings of future. So the Asian wisdom definitely offers us 2 directions for the future, and we have found that first is, of course, reconnecting with the nature's intelligence. Often we feel that we have tried to isolate humans from nature, but traditional Indian thought has always been that the humans cannot be separated from nature, and the concepts of Prakriti, which is nature, and the concept of Panch Mahabhuta, which is the 5 elements of nature, which is Jal, Agni, Vayu, Prithvi, and Akash. I think these are interdependent, and this is the law of life. And if our cities and our buildings are designed keeping these ideologies in mind, then also looking at the local climate, the geography, the community, we will automatically lead ourselves to not only resilience, but also to the well-being of the people who are living out of these buildings. The second thought, and which is also extremely important, is redefining the idea of progress, in the name of progress, because everything that the nature offers, it doesn't mean that it's there for our personal use. Whatever we are using, we have to give it back to the nature in equivalent amount. That's the philosophy of the buildings, the cities of tomorrow should be like. And our buildings should be designed in such a way that they are self-sufficient. And from the idea of more, we should be looking at the idea of enough. And from the linear ideas, we should look at circular ideas and see how we can bring those materials, the concepts back, to the projects. And this is mirrored in the global shift towards net zero. These are modern terminologies that are being used. And I'm sure the kind of lifestyle changes and the kind of awareness, even what government is trying to create around these concepts through Mission Life, I think this will help us to bring that moral values back to the people and help them understand that it's not about being more, it's about taking enough, which is only useful for the environment.
Fantastic. And just I'd like to share that this COP, there's a record number of indigenous people.
Yes.
And the government of Brazil is very interested to include the indigenous knowledge or ancient knowledge also of the forefathers. And I often find some very, very old buildings. I see that. I have a bit of fable. I'm a builder, a bit of fable also for them. And then I study them, how they build, and they are so smart.
Yeah.
In Gujarat, for example, many of the old buildings, they have a big water tank underneath.
Yes.
And they collected the rainwater and they had nice, cool drinking water throughout the year.
Yes.
And they just had inside the building, there was a little bit of an opening. They put the bucket down and they got the fresh water out. Isn't that interesting?
So they conserve every water.
Yeah.
I also like your point that nature's resources is not for personal use, it's for the common good.
Exactly.
If I forget the common good, this becomes greed.
Yes.
So wonderful, such wonderful insights. And unfortunately, we're running a little bit short of time, but overshooting our time, but it's not a big problem. And I hope our audience is also inspired and looks a little bit more into alternative energy efficient buildings. Is a big, big topic, and a lot can be done there. Right. Yesterday we had a activist for vegan food, for plant-based diet, and he says the plant-based diet is the biggest contribution you can do for climate. And I think the second biggest is building sector, right, where there's a lot of potential to protect nature and to protect climate. Of course. Because a lot of energy is at the moment wasted, and materials often are not recycled.
Definitely.
If you go on a construction site, they're often quite messy. A lot of plastic is lying around. And I'm so happy to bring back natural materials.
Yes.
Good. So this brings us now to our final meditation. And Sonia, would it be possible to guide us in a meditation for a couple of minutes and bring back the wisdom into our life?
Sure.
Yes. So I invite you all to take a moment of silence. First, relax your body. Take a few deep breaths. Wherever you're sitting or standing, I stop and I breathe the air, which give lives to the body. And I'm grateful to nature for providing air and oxygen. And I go within with my attention. And I find a very positive, peaceful place within. All of us have a little corner in the soul where everything is good and kind. And I stay there for a while. And then I start generating these vibrations of peace and positivity. And I send them back to nature. Nature gives me resources, and I give back my peaceful, positive energy. So I hold this energy, and I see the world in front of me. And I encircle the world, peaceful, positive vibrations. And then I take another deep breath and prepare my mind to come back to action. Om Shanti.
Thanks very much, Sonia. Well, very lovely meditation. Experience the wisdom and the connectedness with nature. Thanks also a lot to our speaker, Shabnam, for joining us. Thanks, Sonia, for taking time. And thanks also to our patrons and sponsors and all the volunteers behind the camera, which make this live studio possible. Please also join us tomorrow. And tomorrow morning, we have a very interesting session with Cristina Figueras on ethics at the heart of COP. And for details, please visit our webpage, echo.brahmakumaris.org/live. Last not least, thanks very much to you, our audience. After this session, we play a short video of Griha. So please stay on, have a look at the video, and you will get some good inspirations for energy efficient buildings. Thanks very much, and goodbye from Belem.
Think about the rhythm of a regular day. Waking up to morning tea in the courtyard. Children walking to school. Parents traveling by metro or bus to work. Evenings spent cooking and sharing meals at home. These everyday moments, though simple, are the true building blocks of our society. Green buildings is no longer a term unfamiliar to the common people. The intricacies of it may still need to be understood. However, the association of the interconnected terms of green buildings, environment, energy, water, waste, etc. are now known even to a layman.
It becomes extremely important that the ideas or the concepts of sustainability are embedded at the grassroots levels. And also to say that sustainability could be provided at affordable rates.
The major challenge in accounting for the footprint of stand-alone residential projects is the inclusion of these in the impact assessment processes. The other pertinent issue escalating implementation of green building measures is the lack of awareness among the common man. Jan Griha, in its essence, is a simple checklist that comprises easy-to-comprehend interventions like installation of LED lights, use of local materials, provision of e-vehicle charging points, bettering indoor air quality by use of low VOC and lead-free paints and planting native species, dry and wet waste segregation, providing windows for daylight, shading to avoid glare, cool roof applications, use of BEE star labeled appliances, installation of renewable energy systems, etc.
We are promoting Jan Griha for other financial institutions also, and customer is getting huge saving in the energy consumption, huge saving in the water consumption, and that too they are having comfort in the home. Once the home is converted into the green home, in the Jan Griha segment, people are feeling very comfortable in the home.
If we can create sustainability at the base of the pyramid, basically, in our economy, we are making sure that the major mass is aware and making sure they implement it at all household levels. There are three stakeholders in Jan certification: the HFCs, the banks which give loans, the Griha as a rating body, and the household users. The certification gives you outcomes which are very much relevant to each stakeholders. The certification gives you how much money as a user you will save if you make Jan certified homes. As a financing institutes, you get a number with so many greenhouses, how much carbon emissions you will reduce, which you can take to the international market and procure a green loans on a subsidized cost. As a rating body, we get the numbers which we can report to the government. Through Jan Griha, we have rated more than 750 projects across the country now, and we are enhancing our portfolio with multiple HFCs coming forward to take this implementation. Through this process, we have made sure that more than 750 tons of carbon emissions is reduced.